Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to finish off this week as we usually do with creator request, where we check out a song that a band has contacted me and said, "Hey, can you check out our music?" And I say, "Yeah, let's do it." This one comes from a band called Prospective. It says, "Hey man, loving your channel and reactions. We are Prospective from Italy, and we just dropped our new single, Deadman. We'd love to see you react to it. Spoiler alert, there's a breakdown inside of a breakdown. Cheers." Now, see, I'm intrigued. What is a breakdown within a breakdown? What does that mean? Does that mean that we hit a halftime like heavy feel and then we get even halftime-ier and heavier? I don't know. We're gonna dive into this. We're gonna see what's going on. This is Prospective, Deadman. All right, so there's flashing lights. So do what you need to do to stay safe while this video plays. Yeah. So we have some really nice production on the vocals. We have some synthesizer stuff going on in the background, widening out the sound a little bit. Yeah, I like that call and response idea and the harsh vocals. Very new metal. I'm really digging this. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, going for some atonality. Yeah, I love how the guitar solo carried over into this pre-chorus. Not a pre-chorus. Really playing around with textures here. Getting some really interesting stuff out of these guitars. Yeah, alright. I do like how the digital synthesizer sound bounces between the two sides. Sometimes it's in the left ear, sometimes it's in the right. Yeah, got a little bit of a unique outro there. I think it was a modification of an earlier idea, but it felt new, which I mean that's good enough. Don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Just change it up a little bit. So yeah, lots of really cool stuff going on there. This is, like I said, this to me is a modern revival of nu metal, and I'm here for it. I'm a huge nu metal fan. I feel like the genre gets a bad rep, and I mean I can see why, especially with some of the mainstream stuff that was coming out in the 2000s ish when nu metal was big. But I grew up with it. I have a soft spot for it. Um, yeah, so there's actually some really cool stuff going on in here. Of course, as a new metal track, it works a lot with textures and feelings rather than musical melodic ideas, very much working within the realm of sonorism here. And within that, I kind of shifted my perspective about the halfway point of the song to instead of listening for how melodies were working, once I kind of realized that that wasn't necessarily going to be what their emphasis was on, I started listening to the textures and some of the production going on in there. The guitar tones they were getting, some of the stuff they were doing with their vocals, what the digital instrumentation was doing, how they might have been using digital effects to modify some stuff. And yeah, I came up with a much larger critical appreciation from that perspective. Now, obviously, like I said, from a casual standpoint, I love this. This is right up my alley. I would jam to this. But from a critical perspective, I was a little underwhelmed in the first half, but it's just because I was approaching it from the wrong mindset. Especially given all of the big train that we've checked out recently, I was just not in the right mindset for a return to some sonorism, some really textural based music. Um, so yeah, what do we got going on here? One of the things I want to point out is guitar work. I don't know how many guitarists are in here. I probably should have paid a little bit more attention to that, but interestingly, in the mix, there's three of them. Two are panned right, and one's panned left. Um, and I really like this balance. I think it works well. We have a lead guitar on the right, we have a rhythm guitar on the left, and then we have a punchy guitar. I don't know if that's the right word for it. We have a punchy guitar on the lower right. It kind of sits below a lot of the stuff. For all I know, it might be a bass that works with some of the higher strings, but it's the super punchy stuff when you want accented beats and you got your bass kick hitting on like bump 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 and you get those really nice punchy hits. There's a right pan guitar that tends to get paired with those and layers up the rhythmic aspect of them. And then you have your higher pitched lead guitar doing usually a melody line, and then you have a left pan guitar that's usually doing some chordal stuff. And now it doesn't necessarily mean that they're playing long held out chords. Sometimes it is a rhythmically staccato thing that's providing some syncopation while also providing the chord progression in the sound floor. But they're usually doing some background guitar work. Whereas the right pan guitars are both the ones that are leading the charge, either rhythmically or melodically. I think it is really interesting to hear. It doesn't feel unbalanced like I think it would because our vocals are center panned. Although we do have some panned vocals as well for backup vocals and whispers and stuff like that. Our drums are mostly center pan, but also as pretty typical with modern production, they're very wide. Different instruments have different placement in the sound sphere, but for the most part, it's a centered sound that sort of spreads out a little bit. But it isn't an instrument that I would identify as a panned as being panned in the mix. So we have a lot of centered stuff. I'm not sure where the bass fits because the bass to me was doing a lot of the punchy stuff, but the guitar that was super punchy seemed to be playing a bit higher than I expect the bass to be. So either the bass was being drowned out in the mix or the bass was that punchy guitar. Um, but most of our instrumentation is centered, and then we have two guitars on the right and one guitar on the left. And normally that would feel unbalanced. We'd have too much weight on the right side and we'd lean, it would feel like we're leaning that way. And I didn't get that here. So there's definitely something going on with the mix, possibly volume levels or something of that nature that allows the one guitar to feel heavier or to feel the same weight as the two guitars on the other side. As I mentioned before, production's not really my forte, so I really can't add any more to that than they're doing something that makes it work. But I do want to point it out that it's interesting. Usually there is a balance to instrumentation on each side, and that provides musical balance in the mix. And here it's not. It's not a number of instruments, so there's definitely something else going on that balances it out. And that to me is just awesome. Um, let's see what. Oh, the vocals. There are a lot of vocal things going on here. We have a couple of vocal techniques that are providing different vocal delivery styles, and then we also have some stuff that's done digitally. We have panning that goes on. I think there's an effect that kind of adds a ton of compression and distortion to the vocals for a second to kind of give it a bit of a lowered aspect in the mix. Provides a lot of energy. I think it was during an energy buildup section. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of cool variation going on in there. Variation, I think, is a key aspect to the vocals here. They could easily have been more of a one note style of vocals, and instead we get a lot of different styles of vocals, different vocal deliveries, vocal placements, and it keeps the main melody, the lead instrument, the one that's kept in the spotlight the most, the vocals. It allows them to have a lot of variety to them and allows them to not feel stale and to continue allowing the song to feel fresh moment to moment. The drumming was sick. There's some really nice fills in there. Nothing that really, just stood out to me and said, focus on me, listen to the drums. But every time I checked in on them, they were doing some really nice stuff. There were, like I said, a couple fills that did catch my attention. And that's not to say that the drummer is not great, just that this song might not show off the drummer's skills. There might be some ridiculous fill or odd metered pattern or something that shows up in another track. This one, as usual, as I said before, singles tend to be a little safer because they want to bring in an audience. So you kind of want to have more of a catch-all. So it's very possible that this single might not be completely indicative of everybody's skill set. It just is the one that is the best put together. Maybe would be a word to say, or possibly it's the one that would catch the most attention. It would cast the widest net for a metaphor there. There's lots of decisions that go into what makes a single. So, like I said, it could just be that the other songs might feature the drummer more prominently. And then I do want to talk about this breakdown within a breakdown idea. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I would call it a breakdown within a breakdown, but it does feel like a heavier breakdown placed sequentially after a breakdown, which is interesting because the first breakdown ended and I said, hey, it's pretty interesting that the guitar solo, oh, I got to talk about the guitar solo. The guitar solo bleeds over into the pre-chorus. I really enjoyed that. But then it wasn't a pre-chorus, it's actually moving into the next breakdown. And it is interesting to hear the track slowly break down in that manner, how we have our first sort of halftime feeling. I don't think we actually cut to a halftime tempo, but it was halftime feeling just because we removed a lot of the drive and number of notes per bar for the instruments, so it feels like it. But then the second time we slowed it down even further, I do think that that was a tempo shift. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but at that point, writing the music on sheet music would be a lot of whole notes and half notes, and that's not as fun to read. Uh, but yeah, like you hear the song slowly coming to a crawl, and I think they did a fantastic job bringing us back in for that final chorus. The guitar solo was interesting. It lined up with the sonoristic point of view that the song is written on, mostly textural stuff. There was a little bit of melody in there. I appreciate that a little bit was injected in there to create some diversity in what the guitar is doing. But like I said earlier, what really stood out to me was the fact that the guitar solo hung on for another 2 or 4 bars after the vocals came back in. And I love that. It usually, when we have metal writing, we have the guitar solo section, and it's 8 bars or 16 bars or 32 bars, depending on how long your band really wants the guitarist to be playing. And that's it. Maybe you'll have competing guitars like a duet, or battling guitars, and they'll take turns back and forth doing solos. But then there's a hard cutoff point where it's not the solo time anymore. The lead guitar flips the effects from the solo voice to his lead voice, and that happened here. The solo guitar had its own sound to it, and the song continues on. There's usually that hard cutoff point. It's no longer the solo section. We're now in the next part. And I love having it bleed over a little bit, and kind of blur the lines between sections. It, yeah, it's different. It's different. It kind of gives me a jazzy feel. But even a lot of jazz is restrictive in that manner too, where it's, you know, AABA. You do the chord part, you do the second time of the chord part, then you do your solos. Everybody, however many solos you want to do, your solo section has no defined time. You can do 2 hours of solos, and then you do the defined part again. The tradition, the pre-composed part of the song, and that finishes it out. There's a hard section where it's like, this is the solo part. That's it. And I love hearing it bleed over a little bit. So yeah, cool stuff there. I think that touches on everything that I really enjoyed about this. Tons of energy, lots of variety, bringing back a genre that, for the most part, has been dead for a little bit in my eyes. I'm sure there might have been an underground nu metal scene trying to keep it alive, but this is the second band that I've heard on this channel bringing it back. Dear Mother was the other one, and I picked that album up. So there's a pretty strong chance that I'll check out more of the music from Prospective, and then probably end up grabbing this album too. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Prospective's Deadman. This is where you guys come in. What did you think of this? Did you enjoy it or not? Anything that might have stuck out to you that maybe I didn't touch on, or maybe something that I did talk about and you thought there was more to talk about and then I just didn't talk about it, so now you should talk about it in the comments. It's Friday. My brain's done. Oh man. Above the comment section, there's a description box and there's a link for Linktree. Take you to this menu right here where you can check out a bunch of links related to the channel. You can join the Discord community. You can follow me on Twitter. You can help support the channel through Patreon, purchasing merch, or doing a special selection submission. I'm not kidding about my brain being toast. It's the end of the week and my brain's like, look, you did your analysis. Shut the video down. We're done. It's time for the weekend. Alright, yeah, all that stuff is in that link. That's Linktree. You can check it out in the description box. Above the description box, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three, and they help with the YouTube algorithm. I'll be back tomorrow. No, man. I'm not lying about that brain thing, man. I'll be back on Monday. It's the weekend. I won't be doing any videos. Monday I'll be back, though. We'll be looking at our next theme, and we'll be checking out some special selections. We'll be returning to the designated order. I know I made an exception so that we could check out some big train stuff in remembrance of David, but we will be returning to the original lineup for special selections starting Monday. Alright, until next time, remember to be critical but not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. Oh, and also, in like 10 minutes, today's... Nope. This was the creator. I don't even know anymore. Be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.